Welcome to the podcast. The Aging Queen. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. And welcome back to the Aging Queen podcast with myself, Louis Canetti. This is part 2 of our LGBTQ series on travel. We have our regular guests, Robert from Madrid, Spain, and James from Columbus, Ohio, chiming in with their opinions and stories, along with myself, on traveling gay around the world. Hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say.
remember going to New York. I looked up on YouTube multiple times how to get from what's the airport in Queens? Is that LaGuardia? Yeah,
Yeah.
to
think
get
so.
the bus from LaGuardia to Manhattan.
Oh, it's hard to get out of LaGuardia, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think it's the bus stop the bus line that begins with a Q or something. Anyway,
Mhm.
and how to pay. Well, they've updated the payment machines now, so they don't have those old school machines anymore. But YouTube, Reddit, researching beforehand. I think it's important to look into those things before you travel because it can make or break your experience. Being overwhelmed,
Make
getting
sure there's a
taxi,
bathroom in your
getting
No,
hassled.
room.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Like the first time I went to Berlin, I remember I was me and my friend were there, and we were just kind of like, okay, we want to take the public transportation. We want to hop on the train. We couldn't find anyone to explain what we needed to do. Like,
Mm,
how do we buy a ticket? Do we pay? How do we pay for this?
Mhm.
Amusingly, like we were in a really big like train station, and there was no one around. So for
mm.
my entire trip, for the first time I was in Berlin, we walked everywhere because
Oh my.
we couldn't figure out, like, luckily we were staying in kind of like a central location, but we could not figure out how to take the train. And then the next time I was in Berlin and I was actually visiting a friend, he explained it, and I was like, wow, this is so easy, of course. And now, like, when I go, I know exactly what to do because I've been there several times at this point.
Right.
But it's helpful to have that knowledge before you go. And on that particular trip, we did not have that knowledge. We didn't. We could. I wish we did, because that probably would have opened up more of the city to us. But you
Right.
Yeah, Wiki Travel. I
know.
think they do great breakdowns. They have sections on how to arrive to the city
Yeah.
from whether you're coming from boat or from plane or from train and how to get there and everything.
There's so many great apps now.
Hmm.
Oh, Rome to Rio? That's one of my favorites. It's sort of like, I want to go to Gibraltar, but I'm in Madrid. How do I do that? Click
Mm.
Rome to Rio, and it gives you all the options. Not that great. That's not a great example. You'll spend the entire day traveling, and then just to hang out in Gibraltar for a couple hours, and then spend the other whole day traveling back. I should
Right.
learn to drive, but yeah, Rome to Rio is
You,
fun. I
you
love
know,
it.
just in Google Maps, also, a lot of people in London, when I was there recently, use this. It's just Google Maps, and it'll give you the actual bus lines, and that, like, say you want to get to Notting Hill from Shoreditch, and you just put in the neighborhood to neighborhood. It'll tell you how long you got to walk to the metros, the tube,
Mm,
then get out. 4 minutes, take bus number, da 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 da. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
I was gonna
So
say
yeah.
Google's on it also.
I've used Google Maps in other countries as well. I've also used Google Translate in other countries, just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah.
Yes,
How do
yeah, that's
what do
also.
you guys is that what you use when, let's say, because I'm gonna start traveling to countries that I know speak very little English and I don't know their local language or native language. Now there's all this technology where you just literally speak into your phone, right? And it comes out in their language?
Well, with Google Translate, you can literally just, it uses your camera and you just hold it up to like a sign, and it translates the sign in real
Wow.
time. Like, it's the craziest thing.
The
Um,
future is here.
I know, like, I absolutely love that. Like, when I was in Japan, I know I used that for sure a couple of times. But as far as like traveling to countries that don't necessarily speak our language, it's amazing how we somehow figure out a way to communicate. Like, I like
Yeah.
like I was remember sitting in this restaurant in Japan. with one of my best friends, and he wanted to go there. It was this little hole in the wall place, and the two people who were like in there running it spoke very little English, and of course we spoke no Japanese. So
Mm.
luckily, like the menu had pictures on it, but some stuff we literally just had to figure out. Like we just had to like we all struggled through it, and we were just kind of like, but we all
Mm.
felt great, like because we it felt great, like just figuring stuff out,
A
like
couple shots of sake will help you.
right, like because I personally I love sake, but on for one, like the word sake in Japanese is just alcohol, and for me,
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just like, all right, well, I don't want just straight alcohol.
any
I want
kind.
actually, I just want sake, you know. And then
Mhm.
so the person is looking at the menu, and there's a menu of sake, and finally he says, sweet or dry? And I was like, ah, sweet. I was like, sweet. And so then he was like, he pointed, and I was like, yes, just let's do it, you
He
know.
threw you a bone.
Yes, because I was just like, I have no idea.
You were lost.
Yes, I was completely lost. But you know what? It was an amazing experience because it's not a place that I would normally have ever sort of just thought to go into.
Oh, I want to go to Japan so
It's
bad.
not a situation that I would normally put myself in, but it I feel like it broadened my horizons even more because it was just an awesome experience. I ate food that I like. My best friend ordered mackerel, and he was like, he's like, you're not gonna like this. It's mackerel, and I was like, well, I've never had it, so how would I know if I don't like it if I don't try it? And I of
Right.
course tried it, and it was amazing. And it was just like he was like, I did not think that you would like that. And same, I had a similar experience when I went to
EO is the
Iceland.
same way for me.
Yeah, yeah, like
I
when
didn't think I'd like it. And those were so good.
like when I went to Iceland, my friend's parents, they for breakfast, you know, they have like toast, and they'll normally put like a piece of like salami or cheese or some other meat on top. And so I looked at this one thing that they had out, and I was like, what is that? And they were like, oh, it's like it was some sort of fish. But they were like, you're probably not gonna like it. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna try this because I've never had smoked. It wasn't smoked salmon. It was smoked. Oh, I'm trying to think of what it was.
Fermented
Trout.
shark.
No, it was smoked trout. It was smoked trout. And they were like, "You're probably not gonna like it." And I, you know, put it on a piece of toast, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" And then they
Oh
had this,
wow.
you know, like sauce, and they're like, "You're probably not gonna like this
Mm.
sauce either." And I'm like, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try to be like you." And it was amazing. So, um, and the last thing that I had there that they also didn't think that I was gonna like was curried. I think it was curried trout or something like that. They were like, "You're definitely not gonna like this," and I was like, "No, no, this is
Oh,
amazing." I was like,
Watch me.
I was like, "This is amazing." I liked it so much, and when I was in the airport, I saw that they had some because I got to go on the Icelandic Air Lounge, and I was like, "Oh, they have some. I'm eating this. I'm eating as much as
how
I
was the
can
food in
here."
Korea, Rob?
Um, Food in Korea, it was difficult being vegetarian at the
Yeah.
time, but yeah, they have temples that have restaurants, and the Buddhist temples only offer either vegetarian or vegan food, and they're quite expensive, but it was good. I had I had a little card with me in Korean explaining, that I'm vegetarian, and not everybody took it into consideration, but I went in 2014 or 13, I believe, and this was before Google Translate on your phone and all of that, but I'd love to go back. I had such a gay old time in Seoul for being such a conservative country
Mm-hmm.
back then. I don't know if what it's like now, but back then they had so many gay bars, so many gay bars. I had the best Long Island iced tea in my entire life. Oh, I
Wow.
almost missed my flight back home because those Long Islands were so good.
Long
And
Island's a getcha.
oh,
Yes, they
and
will.
just bar hopping. There were so many. It's like a mall. Like imagine a mall full of bars. Like it was just like Yumbo in the Canary Islands, but like even gayer. How do you do that in South Korea? Like what?
No.
Like it's all underground. Um, but I remember getting a map from one of the bars, and it showed all the different locations, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like all these LGBTQ friendly
It's
bars, and
like
I'm like, who would have
Pokemon
thought?
app
Like,
trying to
I
find
live
the
in
gay bars.
Sweatten. They have more than us. How's that possible?
Yeah, there's cities like I said, Montreal surprised me. I said, "This is gayer than San Francisco and New York? Wow, it
Mm.
can't be." And it actually was, it's, uh
Question: do we
yeah.
think San Francisco's overrated?
I mean, San Francisco has changed in so much in the last few years that it's hard to keep up with it,
I mean,
I
for me, it's a
I
hard
think it's
question.
overpriced.
Yes, I was gonna say for me that's definitely a hard question because I used to live there, so I lived there for
Oh,
2 years, so I have some very happy memories from there. But at the same time, I know that it's changed quite a bit, and
yeah.
it's not
Madrid's changed too, yeah.
for me. It's not my like if I had to pick a place where I was gonna go and do like a gay city, me personally, I probably would not go to San Francisco other than to visit
Yeah,
friends because the gay experience for me is different there than it is than let's say like Berlin, you know,
right.
because for
Berlin is like it's just such a comfortable go-to location. I don't know,
well,
it's fun, it's got everything.
so for me, for instance, like being that I am a 47-year-old black male and I am not a small person, but I mean, I guess I would be considered a bear, but I guess a small bear. I don't really, you know how we do our
Baby
classifications.
bear.
Exactly. Um, you know, Berlin, I remember the first time I ever went to Berlin, that was the first and only time I'd ever experienced walking into a bar and literally heads turning. I had never experienced, turning someone's head before. Like people were just looking, just like staring at me because I'm exotic, which I thought was
Mm,
fascinating. Whereas in San Francisco, that was not my experience. I mean, I did get some attention, but at the time it was a different experience for me because I was younger and I didn't
right.
know what to do with, when these like bears or something like that or rugby players were like hitting on me. I'm like, no. Like like
That's how I felt in Rome. When you go into a bar in Rome,
mhm.
to a gay bar in Rome, people turn around, but they just, like, have this frowny thing on their face, and then they just go back to whatever they're doing. But in Madrid, I did not feel invisible, let's just, put it that way.
So back to Italy, that's one place that really surprised me for LGBT travel. I went on a trip to Milan. I love Milan, a beautiful city, beautiful people. Italy is a beautiful place, wonderful people. I was very surprised though, that when you travel to a new city, a new place, you want to check out the neighborhoods or gay bars, right? See how people are living in that city, and there were only a handful of bars. We went to one that had a bunch of them all together, and it was literally behind the train tracks of the train station. Um, they were blacked out. The windows were all blacked out,
Mhm.
and there was no foot traffic. It was very hidden, almost kind of like it was shameful or something.
Well,
Mm.
And the last time I saw this was in Virginia during college, like going down deep south in Virginia, where they had they're private, basically members only bars. You have to bring in your own liquor, and the windows are blacked out. Uh,
What?
I did not. Yeah, that's a big thing in the South.
well, yeah,
Um,
I was gonna say I feel like traditionally a lot of gay bars had like either blacked out windows or no windows at all. Like it's just been
yeah.
recently, like here in Columbus in the past few years, where I don't know if they passed an ordinance, but it's like all the gay bars that we have here in town, they all have like windows where you can actually see inside, um, or something like that. It's not, it's kind of like you're not hidden anymore, which is nice.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, Milan is, I think, with the fashion center that it is, you'd think it'd be gayer, and it sure as hell wasn't.
No.
So
Rome's not much gayer either, and there's plenty of gay bars in Rome, but I don't know, they're kinda there was, I'm pretty sure that it's still there, an entire gay street with 2 gay bars, but they call it the gay street because they're right next to each other, and a
mm,
Mhm.
gay gelateria next to it as well, and that's just right near the Colosseum, so it's pretty, it's nice, but it's kinda ho-hum in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just surprising. That's the only commentary. I thought they could, especially for a city like Milan, could treat their gay bars with a little bit more class. But
So I
I
guess
mean, they were
I
literally
I
behind the train tracks.
I have a question for you both, since I mean everyone we've all traveled quite a bit. So I guess as far as like the gay experience goes, do you have a favorite place that you've been to so far that you just that you I guess would be your favorite or top?
London for me.
I'm gonna
Cricket.
have to say
What's going
Madrid.
on? Huh?
I had to think about that because, I mean, when it comes to travel, I have favorite places, but when it comes to specifically LGBTQ, gay bar, nightlife, going out, even though I'm in bed by midnight, I don't drink anymore, I'm boring, I don't really go to gay bars anymore. Honestly, it still has to be Madrid for me because not just
Yeah,
because I live here in Chueca, obviously, but I still think that the nightlife still has so much to offer. Um,
Madrid's great. Yeah.
even after the pandemic and things have changed and bars don't exist anymore and new things open up and all of that. But still, if you want to have a gay old time, I think London's pretty good too. But I don't know. I think Madrid just holds a special place for me.
Madrid is great. I mean, there these capital cities, Amsterdam, of course, Berlin, but for me personally, it's London. I just like, I like that whole area of Soho and how
Old
it's,
Compton Street, yeah.
yeah, Compton Street's great, and you never have to really look over your shoulder. I mean, you don't at all in Madrid either, but um, it's just, it's a different kind of feel about it. I just like it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
What about you, James?
that's a good question. I'm gonna say because like I love like so I've been out in Madrid, which was awesome, and I look forward to going back to Madrid. Obviously, um, I'm sure I'll be going back at some point in time, so I look forward to going out there. I guess my favorite experience so far probably would be Berlin. Yeah, just in thinking about it, because Berlin was a lot of fun. I mean, I went to several different bars that I would not necessarily normally have gone to at the time. But I
Hmm.
also have not gone to I haven't gone to any of like the really big well-known bars. Um, but once again, like for me, my bar experience is I mean, I go to bars really to hang out with friends.
Mm,
Right.
So and like even here at home, like I don't go out to get drunk. I go to hang out with my friends because that's just unfortunately
Right.
where my friends want to hang out. So like if they wanted to hang
mm,
out at
yeah.
somebody's house, I'd hang out at somebody's house. But um
Yeah. Third spaces are so important. We need to support our local coffee shops and our local
right,
Yes.
libraries
Well, I
and
right.
think the
bookstores.
pandemic taught us that.
Mhm.
I felt, um, oh man, I was craving after the pandemic kind of ended, when it's still going on, really. Uh, you treasured more and you appreciated more those spaces, those just the outdoor terrace, even bars. I went to actually this trip. It was like a little whiles ago when I went the first time actually when after the pandemic where I don't know, there's been so many chapters where, like, the pandemic's over and then boom, another what do you call it, outbreak happens and tons of people are sick. But the first time that I actually went back into a bar, and I didn't get sick afterwards, felt very liberating, because and then you
Yes.
realized how much connection we were missing during the pandemic and how social we are as humans. We need to get out there. Technology is great. It's connecting us, but it's actually disconnecting us. It's making us stay home more. We get deliveries instead of having to go fetch our food. And even in business, Zoom meetings are now becoming such a norm. So that connection, especially now with traveling, people are traveling more than ever because I feel that the pandemic made them either realize that it was very much needed, the connection between humans, or that they appreciated things that we took for granted before.
Well, and I was gonna say one of the things that you pointed out earlier, of course, was the amount of money that you know gay travelers have, and
Hmm.
especially with everyone staying at home. For one, a lot of gay people have money because we don't necessarily have that families. We don't necessarily have children, um, and especially like working, like if you're working from home, that's a lot of money that's being saved. That's a lot of money that can be used for travel. Like I know I just started a new
Right.
job, like I guess now like 3 weeks ago. So I won't get to travel this year, but next year, I'm already starting to think, well, where am I going to go next year? 'Cause
Oh yeah.
I'll probably go to Spain because I haven't been to Spain in a while. Um, Iceland is
And there's
always
so much to see in Spain
right.
too.
Like Iceland is always an option. Like my friend who lives there has already asked, when are you coming back? And I'm like, well, not this year because I can't have a new job. But yeah, like it's like the world is out there, and
Oh
especially
yeah.
since the pandemic is over, we're all kind of ready to see more of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Some of us are aching to travel even more.
Oh
It's
yes,
I think yeah, there's this after the pandemic in the early 1900s, 1917, a lot of people the roaring 20s happened, they said, because of this pent up,
of course.
energy, a desire to get out and explore. And I think we're just doing it in a different way. We're doing it in traveling. We're doing it by exploring different ways of living. The camp, that's another episode, but the whole camping, van life out there. On an episode, we'll we always see like Instagrammers doing van life, but we don't really see many gay van life and how safe it is to travel and live in your van for 30, 60 days, 90 days, a year, and go from place to place that might not be so hospitable to gay people. So w- that's something that we'll continue chatting. We're gonna cover much more of LGBT travel on this series. I think it's a topic that has so many different facets and opportunities to discuss. Um, so many things about it. Not only there's now also men only hotels that we didn't even touch on, but we will in future episodes. There, some hotels they're only allow men, no women, no families, no kids. It's just for men only. What do you guys think about this? Is that something that interests you, that you would go to, if a men's only hotel?
I mean, depending
I don't
on
know.
where
You
it
go, James.
was, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
depending on where it was and
Right.
what type of, because
I think
uh,
there's one in Barcelona for sure.
I mean, I would have to take a look at it because sometimes certain places advertise themselves as like men only hotels, but they also kind of insinuate that other things can happen, you know?
Mm.
So it's just
Yeah,
kind of
there's some
like,
that say you can go naked throughout
right,
the facility.
exactly. So
Oh
for
no.
me, like for me, if I'm traveling, like Rob said, like where my hotel, that's just where I'm sleeping. Like
Right,
I'm probably not hanging out at the hotel. Um
right.
and so for me, I guess I don't necessarily need it to be a men's only,
Part
but
of your vacation, yeah.
right, but then you get into like the conversation of like, um what are you trying to do on your vacation? Like, are you trying to just
Right.
have a lot of sex on your vacation? Then of course that's going to
Some people
determine.
do.
Exactly, some people do. Like there are I knew someone years ago who, when he would go on vacation, he went to Thailand because that's where he liked to go for that reason. that's
And the Canary Islands
you know
also, I think Mas Palomas is huge for that, right?
Oh
Robert
yeah.
Hamilton? Yeah.
so
In mid-February, they just go. Almost all the Europeans go, and it's a big old wild party over there.
which,
Um,
if that's what you want to do, that's awesome, but I like, for
yeah,
me, that's not normally the goal of my trip. Like if it happens, fantastic, but
No.
but that's not
yeah,
that's not the
me
reason
either.
why I'm going.
Yeah, but some people do. Some people travel,
Right. Right.
all these parties that they go to, and they travel for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
I have friends who do
Can't
that.
be me. Can't relate. No.
I can't relate to it. It exists, and that's a big portion of LGBT travel. That's why a lot of the infrastructure is being set up for. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but they do exist. These men only hotels.
Sure, and
Um,
then there's like the circuit party people who love to travel
yes.
for that. Like, like like one of my really good friends here. He just, I think, some early this year, or maybe it was last year. He went down. He went to Brazil for the circuit party, and I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, they travel all over,
I was like,
following the white party, the black party, the pink
exactly, like he
party.
was in Rio, and I'm like, this. I mean, it's amazing that you're in Rio because I would also love to go down there, but um, I personally would not go for that because that's not something that interests me, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that he did because it's I think that's probably as far away from home as he's ever been, and I'm glad he had that experience.
Well, people I've seen, Madrid, right? When I used to live there, Robert, it's a big bear. They have Bear Week, right? And
Oh
when is
yeah.
it? In the fall?
Winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
guess I'm coming
that
to.
people come from all over the world for that too. And
Because I'm going to
it's
Madrid for in the winter.
Yeah.
basically this is a bear podcast. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I
Well, I
We're not
mean,
mean,
we're not skinny queens.
I think a lot of Spaniards are just by default bears,
Yeah.
so that's why it seems like there's more. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of everything, and I think there are events and bars that cater towards lots of different types of people. But I think the default here is bear.
Well, there's a lot of bars for bears there, which is and also the city mascot is a bear.
I was gonna say, when I was in Madrid to visit you years ago, I I don't think we went to any bear bars. So I mean, I would definitely go. I'd be curious.
Hmm.
I've gone to a bear bar in Barcelona, which was cool. I feel like bear
Well,
bars.
now you're screwed because we're all sober and we don't go out to bars.
Well, that's true, I suppose. But no, I mean, I will
Well,
still go out. I'll just have to make friends with local bears and be like, hey, let's go.
yeah. Now there's still great places that you can have a couple drinks at and feel comfortable in, and it's good to have them. I always say even if you don't use them every day, it's good for the community to have these places. Makes you feel comfortable.
Right.
And- But anyway, we're gonna touch on this more. There's so many more subtopics under the LGBT travel umbrella that we're going to be covering. So please stay tuned for future episodes about these topics. I would love to have you guys continue listening. And thank you for listening to this episode. And thank you, James. And thank you, Rob. Um, this concludes today's episode, and hopefully, if you like it, you will like and subscribe, and we'll continue doing some more podcast episodes for you. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.